That's a very good question for those of you who don't know or who aren't receiving these emails. We have a very dear friend who's been part of Ananda for many decades now, who was diagnosed with actually a very aggressive cancer. And he just found out 2 days ago, I believe, after he's gone through several rounds of really tough chemo, because, of course, the physicians knew that it was an aggressive cancer. So if there was any hope of even slowing it down, they had to do that with many drugs and big doses of drugs. So he's had 3 rounds of chemo that were extremely difficult. And if you knew how difficult it was, what he went through, even watching how he went through it was amazing. Because many times I would see him or others would the next day or 2 days later. And all of that commitment to learning whatever these masters were trying to offer to him or teach him or share with him through this experience was always there. I never felt that the sickness from the medicine, which was great, and he alluded to it in that email this morning. He called it the chemo blues. That makes it sound sort of cute, but it's not cute. I mean, many people just sort of go down for the count for a few days, but he never did. It's just been extraordinary watching him. So in an email that he sent either last night or this morning, I don't know when he put it out there, but he put that line. So he's found out that the tumor has spread. It's what we call metastasized. So it's not a curable disease, and he's been told that. And there's no way to know how much time he has left in his body, or, as he says in that email, he keeps staying open to the possibility of a miracle, because miracles happen. They just do. What we call miracles in the world just means that perfect attunement and alignment with God's will and God's love and presence. And when we're there, we can't be sick. They're mutually exclusive. Now, of course, that's a hard place to get to when we're still needing to learn spiritual lessons, which is evident because we're all in these bodies. So we all still have something to learn, but Yudhishthira still holds out for that possibility that he could be perfectly well. Or over here, how much time do I have if that doesn't happen? And within that whole process, he is realizing, not just analyzing or thinking it through, but realizing the urgency of getting as much from God as he can while he's here, while he's still in this body, because being in this body is a beautiful gift. Having a human incarnation is a great gift. And interestingly, it's a great gift because it means we have an ego. And we always hold the ego as the enemy, but that's not always true. What is true is that same ego that we're trying to expand beyond is the very force, the beauty of the human condition that says to us, you can do better, you can have more. That's why we incarnate. So the ego is telling us that. Of course, ultimately, we need to transcend that, and ultimately, we all will. But what he's saying through that, through the ego as much as his connection to the divine, which is making it so powerful, is do it now. Bring that sense of urgency. When I read that line that you read, Piyush, and I won't ask you to repeat it, but that says, I invite you, each of you, to find that same sense of urgency. And it brought tears to my eyes instantly. It was so beautiful. He's saying, we have no time to waste. We're on a beautiful path. We've been gifted, every one of us, to be drawn to this path, to be in this temple. Those of us who are here, some of you have heard me say this before, but it's always worth repeating. We can't imagine what a gift it is to be here, to be in the presence of these masters. None of us would be here, not one of us, if they hadn't magnetized us, invited us to come and be with them. And Yudhisthira is saying to us, don't miss a minute of possibility of deepening your sadhana, of attuning yourself to the presence of the divine. I'll say it that way because I look around, and it's not true for all of you that this is your guru, or these are your gurus, but everybody in this room is deeply committed on some spiritual path, and everybody online, or they wouldn't be here. But the point is, whatever it is, don't think that because you're 35 or 38 or wherever you are, that you have all the time in the world. None of us know. The age doesn't matter. It's the fact that we've been given the opportunity to know God, to invite that divine presence to take charge of our lives. And Yudhisthira is saying, do that. Now, you're asking me, how? And of course, that's a very good question. And it is the spiritual path. I mean, that's what the path does. Even being here is a yes to that. Even being here says, of anything else I could be doing, I will come right now and be here to absorb as much wisdom as I can. When he says, find urgency, he's saying, don't find any excuse to miss a daily sadhana. Whatever it is, doesn't mean you have to be in a position to meditate an hour or 2 hours or 3 a day. But don't miss an opportunity to commune with God. Go to your altar. I remember years ago, I was talking to Kushi and Piyush. You know, Piyush is here. They have 2 little children. Adu just turned 5 2 weeks ago, and Arush is 2, or almost 2, 2.5, yeah. And they both work very full-time jobs. That's a big life. There's always a demand. And you know, many of you have heard me say this, that unless somebody, this is what I usually say, has dropped dead in front of you and you need to perform CPR, that's about as urgent as it gets. I usually say there's no reason why you can't find 5 or 10 minutes to meditate. Everything else is an excuse. There's very little that's so urgent. However, a 2.5-year-old screaming and you don't know what's going on could be that too. It's hard when you have 2 little kids and work, and it's just hard. Do what we can. I said to them, this was some years ago, walk through your meditation room and pranam. Offer yourself. Let the masters know that you haven't forgotten them and you want them in your life. Now, of course, it's nice when you can actually have a practice where you're sitting for some time each day, and we all want to be deepening that and lengthening it. That serves us. There's just no doubt about it. Meditation is important, and for other than those few blessed souls who just have an immediate awakening, and I've met a few in my life, most of us have to meditate. There's no other way, because meditation is the path that helps us transcend the ego and get away from that voice that keeps telling us something else is more important than God. And that something else is infinite. The ego never runs out of things to tell us what's more important than God. So we have to do what we have to do. What picture do we have on our phone? What notes have we put up on a computer that we're using? What pictures do we have around our home so that no matter where we look, we remember, I want to remember God. I want to feel that presence. So we should all think about that. We should think about, what do we see as we move through our home? Is everything we look at inspiring us or not? I'll just say not and not get judgmental. Do you know? This is how we do it. And we do it through satsang, so that when we look at each other, we're inspired. We see the reflection of the divine in our guru bhais or in people who are on some other path, but they're practicing. You can see God's light within their eyes. That is so meaningful. Community. I don't mean a physical community, spiritual community. What restaurants do you walk into? What's the atmosphere? What music? You've all heard me say this, because this is what it is. There's no other answer. The moment, what did Yogananda say? The time for knowing God has come. It's now. It's right now, in this very moment. I'm sort of preaching to the choir here because you're here, but it's the answer for all of you, for me, for everybody who will watch these Q&As later. The time for knowing God is right now, because our diagnosis could easily come tomorrow. And we want to ask ourselves, did we make all of the spiritual progress that we could? And I will say to you, this is the last thing I'll say. We'll move on to another question. Because of my age, so I'm very aware all the time that there's not that much time left. It doesn't matter how much it is, because that God only knows. But it's not a lot. Probably it's less than what you have. Hopefully it's a lot less than what you have. Most of you in this room, actually. But I'm up against that realization. There is no time to waste. There is no time. Meditate longer, deeper. Keep God in your mind. Make sure that all of your activities, as much as they can possibly be, are God reminding. Even your work. Take God to work with you, no matter what it is, so that we're not wasting a moment. And that's what he's telling us. That email was so beautiful. I mean, first of all, the prayer, let me face my trials that way, in as elevated and expansive a way as he is. not without fear. Of course, we're human beings. It's not like he doesn't experience any fear. He just doesn't let that hold him. And that's an interesting thought, too. Maybe for another moment, what does it mean to feel huge fear and not get stuck? Let's see if there are other questions, and I might come back to that.